Well, now I want to go to Martin Brechbiel, MMR, for his scratch building corner. Martin, welcome.
Okay, I'm almost here. Gosh. Oh, that's horrifying. You spotlighted me and I'm staring at myself. Terrifying. That's better. Slides. Okay. Well, this is interesting. Where is it? There it is. Okay. We all still here, Jim?
Yes, sir.
You haven't gotten washed out to sea yet, have you?
No, I'm still hanging in there.
Uh, Keep your wetsuit handy.
Just waiting for you.
Oh, well, I'm not coming down there. I don't care. Okay. Part 4, the towerless house, painting and finishing. Well, there'll be some painting and there'll be some finishing, but we won't be done. So count on a part 5. Lots of painting. So I wish I knew what color blue that is. It's probably something called blue, if I'm not forgotten totally. It's a polyscale color. I don't remember what the gray is. It just gets hand painted all the way around. This is somewhat tedious to do because you don't want to slop it on too badly. And this is just the first coat, so you don't get to see the finished colors for a while. Back to that discussion on brushes. You used to use a pretty good sized brush, pretty stiff brush to paint O-scale clapboard to get the paint down into that. So that's why you end up getting 2 coats. That's a good way to get rid of a bottle of polyscale or 2. Fun part, of course, is painting the porch down here working your way through here. That's always an adventure with the brush and the paint and trying not to drop too much on anywhere you don't want it. Just work your way around, more paint, more paint, and more paint, and more paint again. You can see, I don't know how many of these I broke off. I guess 2, maybe 3. But it's just painting, and it's slow but tedious. And you work your way around, and you're done. Well, first coat at least. Then you go back and touch everything up and put a second coat on it. Maybe paint the decking on the 2 porches. We'll get to that, but this is the real fun here. This is what is the cause of great amounts of colorful language and causes the consumption of alcohol and many other things, and maybe some medication at times, and maybe some electroshock therapy. You get into painting multiple colors on Grant Line windows. This really does test one's patience. But this is the first go round. And of course, my color scheme advisor, who is my better half and spouse, and she who must be obeyed, chose white. Even despite the fact that I explained to her repeatedly that none of the white paints are really all that good and it will take multiple coats. And she said, I don't care, do it that way anyhow. And of course, you stand up and salute and keep going forward. And I think that's actually Pennsylvania Railroad Tuscan for the red. It's an interesting color combination that she liked. What you can't see is the top of all these arches. They're exposed and they're also painted. So there's a lot of different little sources of frustration and aggravation right here. Not the least of which is these are also glazed. Well, cutting a curve on all these parts with a pair of tiny scissors and getting it right the second or third time does test one's patience as well. And then gluing it into place without making a total mess of it. Well, this is, again, what brings men to drink a lot. This is what else brings them to drink, is to painting this deck floor. And getting in here with a brush and not getting it all over the walls or everything else. Well, that's a bit of a challenge and makes things entertaining. And a plain wood foundation doesn't work, so some paper bricks. I I think I got these from Steve Millett Rail Scale Models. At least I hope that is, because I like to give him credit at least, and not to deprive anybody else of credit or blame. You just wrap that piece of paper all the way around with some glue, work your way around and around and around. Try not to get dizzy as you get there. The back deck is also painted. That was actually more problematic and trickier to paint for some reason, as I recall. And you work your way around with the bricks, and there we are. So now we got the windows in. I just usually put a little dab of goo on each side of it and shove it in the hole. Of course, that doesn't work because you've painted the walls with polyscale and they've swelled a little bit. So the holes are a little small. So you have to go back and test fit every single hole again and cut it open with a scalpel, which makes things more entertaining. And then you get them all back in, so it works okay. This is 5/1000 copper, sheet copper. It just cut and folded and glued in place and bent around and shoved in there. And you hit that with a hammer and a very small hammer and a small chisel, actually, to shape it into place and form it a little bit. And I left that pretty much unfinished because after putting all the work I put into it, I did not want to mess it up any further. Chimneys on the roof and shingles on the roof. Those shingles are from Rail Scale. I know they are. And they sell an interesting product that has multiple types of shingles in the same pack. And once upon a time in Victorian houses, having multiple types of shingles on your roof was very fashionable. So that's been emulated here. We have 2 chimneys, which basically cut a hole in the roof, shove the chimney casting through after you painted it, and you don't cut the hole 100% free. You cut the 2 sides and the top and push down. And if you push down carefully and you don't break it off, that gets you a platform to rest your casting on for the chimney. And with a little practice, that becomes pretty easy to do. Steps are just pieces of basswood painted gray. These little brass pieces. They're actually not brass, they're painted brass, but they're from Berkshire Valley. I'm not sure what they're really called. These are precision scale parts. I have no idea what they are, but I like the way they looked on the roof. So that's where they went. You know, not all parts necessarily go where their names tell you to put them. Sometimes they look better somewhere else, and you should let your imagination float with that. And go around the corner here. Well, these gutters are actually white metal castings. Crow River, I think, makes those. The downspouts are styrene. You know, lots of fun cutting bevels and gluing them together and putting them on here. It's all repainted copper, a copper craft paint. This is one of my experiments in chemistry. Aging copper standing seam roofing. This is from Builders and Scale, which apparently is no longer, well, or temporarily until further notice, not selling anything, which is unfortunate because I would love to get more of this roofing material. I have lots of the aluminum and steel type roof, but the copper would be so much more fun to use. This effect was done with about 30–40% acetic acid and some copper chloride and copper acetate mixed into the acetic acid. So basically really strong vinegar and some copper salts, and just paint it on and walk away and come back later, and it magically does this. And you add another layer if you want, or you can stop where you were. I just happen to like it, and I had this laying about, so I put it on there. And we go around back, and you can see what happens if you really overdo it. And of course, this is over the kitchen area, so we figured, why not? They deserve the roof that they've created, and it fits fairly well. Again, I think it's 3 or 4 applications of that copper salts and acetic acid. And another view of the roof, so you can see we have regular shingles and we have these scallop shingles in between and a cap over the top. And you can see the tops of these windows. Yeah, I had to go back and touch every window up 2 or 3 times. Loads of fun, particularly painting this interior spot right here on these windows. The chimneys are resin castings, as I recall. So they're just painted with 3 or 4 or 5 different colors of red and some black and some browns and smeared about. And at a distance, they look okay. So another view from the other side. And we'll do more painting and finishing next week. No, we won't. We'll do it in 2 weeks. Right, Jim?
Right.
Very
Right.
good.
Actually, you're going to do it in 3 weeks
3 weeks.
on the 30th.
Okay.
But I can't wait to see it.
Neither I can't either.
Anybody got any questions for Martin?
Did I go in the next room and look at it again? No.
The copper flashing where the
Yeah,
roof.
I didn't get the last part of that, bud. You're muted still. There you are.
Yeah, where the roofs meet. You know.
Yeah.
He keeps muting himself.
You keep muting yourself there, bud. Something about the flashing where the roof meets.
Yeah. How did that go? Did you put the flashing on first and then the
yeah.
shingles?
Oh, yes. The flashing went on first. I think I covered that last week or 2 weeks ago. I don't remember. But yeah, that's just 5,000s copper. Cut a strip and just shove it in there and form it in there and then pull it back out, stick some goo in and shove it back in, and it's never going to come out.
Where did you get that copper?
Oh God.
Or is it an old storage?
That came in a large cardboard box of stuff, and I use the word stuff very, very politely. That actually a lot of really good stuff. Actually, that came from the Harry Roberts estate auction. One of the first such things I ever went to as an O-scale modeler. It was the most bizarre experience that I had probably yet. Harry Roberts was a true innovator of O-scale and had a line of hopper cars, brass hopper cars he sold as kits, a Bascule bridge, all kinds of a rotating unloader for hopper cars, etc. You know, he had some really neat stuff with all the electronics in it. This is 20 plus years ago.
Yeah.
With some pretty sophisticated stuff. And I spent way too much money on too many things that I didn't need that I am still using to this day. Namely the copper foil, which came in a roll, but the roll is it's about a 2-inch roll by I don't know how many yards long, but it's a lot smaller than it was 20 years ago. You can buy copper foil. It's out there. Just Google it or just look on eBay.
Yeah.
It won't be cheap. Or maybe it will be.
Tom, you can get that copper roll off of Temu.
Ah,
Well, for who? What?
Temu.
Team.
Yeah, the site is called Temu. There, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
TEMU. They actually have quite a few products that can translate into model railroading that are very, very cheap. Just don't hold your breath on the shipping. Takes a while.
Yeah. So this is Amazon,
Yeah,
and
it's out there.
you can see for $10 you can buy some
What?
foil to use. So
Yeah, there you are. Lots of options for you. And the spikes, I'm told, are called finials. Yes, they are, but I don't know what precision scale was actually calling them. I was calling them lightning rods, but whatever you want to call them. like I said, they came out of a pack from Precision Scale. There's some part for steam engines for something, but I don't know what, or so I presume. I've never been able to relocate what they are called, and I failed to write down the part number in my notes.
Okay.
So it goes.
Anybody else have any questions for Martin? Martin, thank you so much.